Welcome to this brief online training about finding your next dream job, specifically for teachers. If we haven't already met, I'm Allie Parrish, and I'm so glad that you would join for this. So, let's go over just briefly who you are, why you're probably here. Most of the teachers who reach out to me and that I work with, they have certain things in common. Some of them are just really desiring new growth, new opportunities, something beyond the classroom. Some of them have certain needs they need met. Maybe it's they need a different work opportunity for health reasons, or they need more financial means to provide for themselves or their family the way that they want to. Or maybe they just are really passionate about something specific related to education or what they've done, and they want to pursue that more intentionally. Well, I'm here to help all of teachers with all of these things. So, by the end of this tutorial, this workshop, here are three things you're going to know. Well, first off, you're going to know that your desire to go beyond the classroom, it's actually a really great thing. It should be applauded and encouraged. Next, you're going to know the three things that you need to get your next dream job. Okay. And you're also going to see resources available to help you actually do that. So let's hop into the first one. First off, your desire to continue growing and to do more, that is a great thing. You really should applaud yourself for it and be proud of that. Let's look at the details more specifically. When we look at the research of teachers going beyond the classroom, the majority of them indicate that what they're seeking is advancement. It's development, professional development, personal growth, right? It's not escaping something, it's pursuing something. That is so applaudable. It's awesome. We also see statistics that if someone's not satisfied in their job, they're twice as likely to be depressed. And that correlates with so many other things. This chart is a chart about positive psychology or about happiness. We see on the left hand side how challenging something is with work. If something's not challenging enough, like if you've done the same thing year after year after year, your challenge level is low, and that's not a good place to be. If we see and if your challenge level is too high, that's not a good place to be. It makes you really anxious, always stressed in a different way. We see on the scale from left to right, if your challenge level is too low, or sorry, if the skill level is too low, it's boring. If the skill level is too high, it's too challenging in different ways. We don't want you too high on this graph in the far left or too low on this graph in the bottom right. We want you living in flow, right? We want your challenge level and your skill level to be appropriate for where you are. So if when you were 20 and you started teaching and it was great and you loved it, if a handful of years after that you feel a little bored or you don't feel challenged or you don't feel like you're growing, boom, this is what it correlates with. We want you to continue learning, continue growing, continue progressing, and it relates with being happy and fulfilled. So if you're like, okay, well, I know I need to be doing something else, I'm not really sure I know what to do, right? Knowing, just like G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle. Now we've got to do something about it. Every year in the US alone, more than 200,000 teachers go on to do something different. But where do they go? What do they do? There's so many different stories and paths, so many different right paths. This is just my path. So I'm Allie Parrish. I taught elementary school and I really loved it. Later, I taught at the university. But first, going from teaching at the elementary level to what I did next, I was first an ed tech trainer and I became an educational consultant. I loved that work. Then I worked at the university level for a while, and I could tell I'm going to see some of the same patterns I saw of I wish I could teach anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that's what led me into instructional design. I absolutely loved it. Junior instructional design, senior instructional design, becoming a learning strategist, loved all of it. I then became a project manager. And I really loved that I didn't feel stagnant anymore. Like what I was experiencing in the classroom and wanting to continue learning and growing and progressing, I was definitely, definitely experiencing that. And it was so refreshing to me. So from that, I then later started my own company. So now I direct a learning resources production agency. I hire people who are instructional designers, who can do educational consulting, who can do project management, and so much more. And what I see so clearly, not just from my experience, but from what other incredible former classroom teachers, but educators are doing, is they are incredible at all of these roles and so much more. So, yeah, my path was I taught for 7 years. There were certain things I loved. I definitely loved ed tech. I loved character education, like helping students or individuals be their best selves. It might sound so weird, but I really enjoyed parent teacher conference, the opportunity to talk about how a student is and their personal growth and development. So then at around year 5, even though I taught for 7 years, at year 5, I started feeling stagnant. I had already finished a master's, I had already done certificates. There was one district slash university opportunity, kind of a liaison between the two, and with student teachers and mentoring. That was the only thing that I was interested in doing with my district, and it wasn't an opportunity that was available. And so I wasn't looking for lateral change, like let me move across the country and keep teaching or move to a different district and keep teaching. I really wanted progress. I wanted to be doing more and learning more. So it took me 2 years, year 6 of teaching and year 7 of teaching. It took me so much longer than I wish it would have taken for me to go from knowing I needed to do something different to actually doing something different that I was loving and enjoying and progressing through. I looked at a ton of different options. Most importantly, I looked into myself. That's the right and best place to start. I identified a target field, certain skills, certain companies, and I selected new work options. And to be very honest, ever since then, like just moving forward, I have been so fulfilled and I've absolutely loved it. So much growth and progress has come with it. It's been fantastic. So, yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I've taught at the elementary and the university level. I've been an ed tech trainer, I've been an educational consultant, an instructional designer, project manager, learning strategist, and a director. And yeah, with all of this, I've always wanted to be able to go back and help any teachers who are in the same shoes that I was in back then, because it really was one of the hardest experiences of my life. And so being able to help anyone who's experiencing something that was challenging for us is really rewarding. And yeah, and I would just really love, yeah, to help. I love helping teachers out there with that. So, um, here's a little snapshot of my class. They are fantastic. Like I mentioned earlier, over 200,000 teachers every year, just in the US, go on to do something different. But with you, I don't want you to just get a different job. It's not just about it being different, right? It's about getting a job that you love, right? A dream job. And there are 3 things that you need to know in order to find your next dream job. These are the same things that part of the process that I took myself through to actually land a dream job, okay? You've got to know you. You've got to know what you like. You've got to know the field. You've got to know where to find what you like. Let's think about this with ice cream, right? You got to know what flavor. I'm mildly obsessed with ice cream. I'll admit it. I love it so much. My family knows it. My friends know it. I totally am obsessed with ice cream. You've got to know what flavor you like. You've got to know where to go to find that just dream flavor of yours. And you got to know and be able to actually get it. So let's talk about this in relation to work, right? You've got to know these same 3 things, right? Know what you like. You've got to know yourself, your skills, interests, strengths, passions, preferences, and what you need. Because your job needs to facilitate your needs. And needs are not just financial. It can also be like your interest needs, your outlet and inlet needs. So many things. Okay. Here's an example of research and resources that I have for you that help with this and knowing yourself. So, this is one of many assessments I took about myself. It showed very clearly the difference between skills and interests. Now, you might be really, really, really good at something. This report let me know I am really, really good at being like a secretary. If I were to do that role, I would color code the whole world, like post-it notes. I'm like the post-it note queen. My skill level's through the roof. There are things that you're incredibly skilled at, right? It's good to know them. But my interest level was as low as you can go. You've got to be able to differentiate what you're great at and what you actually want to do so that you don't land in a different job, but not a dream job. Okay, so knowing yourself. You also need to know real opportunities that are out there. It's not just enough to know, oh, I would love to do this. You've got to know real opportunities, where to find them, how to analyze them, and be like, okay, does this actually match what I want to do? That takes some researching. You've got to know how to do that and how to actually connect with those real opportunities. Because the facts are that companies, they need your skills and strengths. They have job listings out there because they need someone that has the skills that you have. The other fact is there are different opportunities, and different opportunities are found with different resources, right? It's not all LinkedIn. It's not all just one resource or another. There's different ones, and based on what you want to do, you find those in different ways and you connect with them in different ways. And you've got to be able to research, like to identify if a job or a job listing or an opportunity actually matches what you want, if it's going to be a dream job before you go to all the work, right? The work of getting it, and then the work after you get it. So you've got to be able to find the opportunities and know they're the right ones. And then you need certain preparation in place. So you've got to have a plan. Like, how are you going to get prepared? You've got to have a resume, a cover letter, interviewing skills, and more. Okay. If you think of, instead of thinking of a dream job for a minute, let's compare it to like a dream relationship. So envision whatever your dream relationship would look like or looks like. Okay. Going from dreaming it to making it happen, there are certain steps in place, right? You've got to prepare. First thing, you're you've got to take care of yourself as an individual, right? That might be being mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy. You've got to have prep in place. Maybe that includes, yeah, doing the things that make you emotionally well, mentally, psychologically well, journaling, writing things down, knowing your priorities, whatever it is. You've got to have some social skills, the ability to communicate with someone, right? Have good conversation. You need to have interpersonal skills and, yeah, be able to relate and have fun with someone and enjoy being with someone. And you've also got to have great relationship skills, problem solving skills, communication, and so much more, so that when tricky things come up, you can navigate it well. All of these things lead to a dream relationship, right? Well, dream jobs, just like dream relationships, they don't just happen. They take prep work, those steps, fundamentals that build to being kind of a dream individual so that you can be in a dream relationship, so to speak. So these are three things that you need to find your next dream job. Okay. Hopefully you know yourself well. Hopefully you know real opportunities that are out there and how to find them. And hopefully you've got the preparation in place to be able to go and land those opportunities. Those are the things that you need. So maybe you're like, sweet, I know all of that. I've got it all. I'm ready to roll, right? If that's the case, awesome. Then you're so ready to roll. I'm here cheering for you all the way. Or maybe you're like, I'm ready for help because I don't know any like or much of that. Well, that's okay to be there too. So I have resources in place and lined up for you to help you with that. I'd like to introduce you to what I have for you. So I've created this course called Find Your Next Dream Job for Teachers. And by the end of the course, you'll know your strengths and your skills and your interests. You will actually find real opportunities, current opportunities, and you'll be prepared with a resume, a cover letter, interviewing skills, and so much more. So, again, I've made this really easy for you, and here's how. First of all, it's an online course. It includes step by step guidance, video tutorials, and written tutorials. Some people like reading more than writing, so we've got a mix of both. Actual actionable activities, right? And you're going to be not just like hearing about this and click, 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 go through the course. Great, I've listened to somebody else talk about it the whole time. Not at all. You're going to be doing actionable things. You're going to visually see through these things what your top areas of interest are, what your top strengths are. All of that self awareness that we talked about, knowing yourself, you're going to have that very visual, very clear in front of you. The online course, you get to do it at your own pace. Along with this, we also have a community, right? Teachers who get it, like they can relate with you. They've been there, done that, and they're working on doing this as well. You have private access to this group, and um, again, it's former teachers as well as current teachers that are working through the same process that you're working through. You can ask your questions anytime in that group. You'll get constructive support and feedback. There's a lot of understanding, a lot of relating. Yeah, and you'll get answers to the questions that you have as well. Um, that community as well is going to have, I mentioned answers to some of your questions, but it's where we do some of the ongoing support for questions that people have as well. So, okay, so along with this, we have just really incredible resources. You're going to have a workbook. It is going to have hands-on activities. You'll have online tools that are exclusive to this course. You can't find them anywhere else. You're going to have templates of resumes that are already created for you and that you can customize as you'd like. Cover letters that are already created for you. You can customize them as you'd like. All of these are educator enhanced, meaning it's not a generic resume. It's building on educators' experience. And not only that, these have all been reviewed by hiring managers who interview and hire former teachers. Okay. You'll also be learning from hiring managers in um, some videos and resources that we have for you on how to interview really well and like what to say, what to not say, because they've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they can tell you what very few teachers do well. Like very few teachers do well. So you'll hear it firsthand from them. Super exciting and really great. This is what one former teacher, said about some of the resources and tools in the course. This is Sabrina. She said, the online tool you created helped me see really clearly which job would be the best fit for me personally. I've used it even years later, and it is still so helpful. I loved that she used this not just when she was first provided with it, but as she continued to grow on her career path, she used it again. So these resources, you can use these for the templates and things that you're provided with far into the future. So you've got the online course, you've got a community where you're going to get answers to your questions, support, encouragement, and so much more. And you've got resources templates that you can download, customize, and use far into your future. Okay. Really valuable and so great. This is what Aubrey said. She said, I landed a job with them. Thanks so much for the companies you recommended. I reached out to one and landed a job with them. I'm loving it. So sometimes maybe all you need Aubrey had some ideas, right? Of like, I think I might like this. I think I might like that. I'm not really sure. Well, I was able to just, I knew where she was living and I was able to look into opportunities and I was able to connect her with companies that I personally knew. And so anyway, she's landed a job with one of them and made so much progress. Super exciting. And I loved being able to support with that. So a lot of teachers have a lot of different thoughts, kind of like hurdles to jump over. And I just want to address some of these thoughts in case you might be having some of them as well. So some teachers think, well, no, really, my options are limited. I'm a teacher, so that's like all I can do. I'm just a teacher. Well, we need to eliminate that thought. Let's just really see the options out there. I can tell you from experience, there are so many. Let's look at them together. Maybe you think, others could do this, but I couldn't. I'm just a teacher. Well, the reality is they're not special necessarily by any means. They have strategies, and we're going to talk about those strategies in the course. Some teachers might think, okay, well, I have to do a side hustle before I can actually do like a different job or, a full-time something or anything that's more intense than that. The reality is, let's identify what you want to do and when you want to do it, and let's make that happen. If you want a side hustle, cool. Let's make it happen. How can I help, right? Or if you want a full-time position on site or remote, oh my goodness, there are so many remote options for former classroom teachers. Trust me, you're so needed out there. So, let's identify what you want, the type of work, the amount of work, the setting of work, and when you want that to happen, in a month, in 4 months. Anyway, let's customize a plan for you. Maybe we could talk about this one all day, to be honest. Maybe you think, well, other work isn't as meaningful. There are a lot of mindset aspects with this, a lot of thoughts behind this. If you're thinking, other work isn't as meaningful as working one-on-one or as working with like 35 on one in a classroom, when we look at what constitutes meaningful work, when we look at the research about it, we see a lot about, anything that you're using your personal gifts with, your strengths with, if you're contributing meaningfully in the world, that is purposeful and meaningful work, right? Um, I I taught, about 30 students at the elementary level a year. The learning resources that I've made, excuse me, for different companies and the work I've done as an educational consultant and in so many ways have gone to hundreds of thousands of learners. They go to hundreds of thousands every year. And so anyway, I would encourage you, if this was a hard one for you, if you're thinking other work isn't as meaningful, just want you to think deep about what are you basing that on? And yeah, explore that a bit. Maybe you think I can't afford an online course. Okay, so maybe what we need to look at here is really money is just a tool for facilitating whatever we value. Okay, so and if you're looking at getting a job that pays you a lot more than what your current job pays, then it definitely washes out really quickly, right? The cost of anything. So or maybe you think I have to settle for something that's okay. I can't actually go for what I want. Maybe you have kind of self-limiting thoughts or patterns of just kind of settling for what you have rather than what you actually really want. Well, you know what? Why don't we just at least explore it? Why don't we, instead of thinking about like, I've just got to have something that's okay, why don't we find what your next dream job is and look at that? So while the online course and the community and the resources total over a value of $1,500, let me give a little bit of background with this. Um, the resources include downloadable resumes, right? Multiple. So if you are going to uh, like a career coach, someone that's going to write resumes for you. Resumes cost anywhere from $100 to $2,000 to have them made for you. Okay. And so I think that's crazy that some are $2,000. I will admit, I think that is cray cray all the way. Um, you're going to have multiple resumes in there. Huge, huge value add. The fact that they were made by a former teacher who's experienced other work things, they're customized for your experience. Anyway, so valuable. Not to mention the guest speaker videos that we have from teachers who've done other things, and not to mention the resources you have from hiring managers who are going to give you expertise from of how to interview well and so much more. Fantastic resources. Okay, in the community, you're going to have answers to a lot of your questions. I'm going to hop in there with videos from time to time, answering some questions that you have as well. If I'm hopping on a client call with anyone, that is not an inexpensive investment for someone. So yeah, being able to kind of be coached and helped in that community is definitely a value add. So on top of the course and the access to it and so much more. So, but aside from, what would a total overall value of the course be? I want you to think about what would it be worth to you personally, right? What if you could stop racking your mind with the question of, well, what else could I even do? Don't I have to work in a school building? If you could answer this question, what would that be worth? Or what would it be worth to know how much money could I actually make in a different role? We're definitely going to look at this in the course. What would it be worth to you to know, is grad school the only way to get what I want in regards to work, right? That is a great question to be able to answer. Grad school, not cheap, not short. And really, after you finish grad school, you've got to search for a job anyway. Okay. What would it be worth to know if grad school was the only way to progress? What would it be worth to know to actually connect with real people and real companies and real current opportunities that you would actually really enjoy? So while the course value is over $1,500, I understand not just teacher salary. I also understand I'm trying to make this in a way to help teachers, and I want it to be accessible for you. In the past, the price of the course was higher. The feedback that I got from teachers is that they would like it lower with less, like with no live coaching calls. So I've removed live coaching calls and I've increased with the community. We'll do some help in that resource. All of this has made it possible to bring the value. Obviously, I'm not going to be charging teachers $1,500, but the price that we had in the past was higher than $147, definitely. But we brought it to $147 currently in this current format that we'll be delivering it in. If you need live one-on-one coaching, we might be able to arrange for that. My time is limited with the company that I direct and the resources I'm making for teachers and so much more that I'm trying to provide for teachers as well. But yeah, currently the course is at 147. So again, let's look at some of the things teachers have said. I shared with you earlier how Aubrey said, thanks so much for the companies you recommended. I reached out to one and landed a job with them and I'm loving it. I keep thank you letters like this. Like, it was so sweet of her to send me something in the mail. And I keep letters like this in a very special place. That's one of them. This one definitely as well. So Bethany said, it gave me the courage and direction I needed. Okay. She said, thanks so much for your help with the switch from teaching to another field. I'm incredibly grateful that you would sacrifice time out of an insanely busy life and help a stranger. Thanks for graciously sharing your experience. It gave me the courage and direction I needed. It was a tender mercy to see another teacher who was led down a different path. With much gratitude, Bethany. And so she now works at a really cool ed tech company. And yeah, so exciting. So proud of her and all she's done. This is Ethan. Ethan, I was so excited to hear everything that he's done. It's been exciting to watch it. He said, I successfully transitioned from the school district to working as a learning designer. I love my new job and feel very good about the choices I made and the hard work I put into it. It is very interesting work and paying off already. I appreciate you taking the time to help me know that it is possible to move on from teaching. So Ethan is a learning designer, and he was working so many side hustles to be able to provide for his family the way that he wanted to, that he didn't get to spend much time with his family. And so one of the unique things about his opportunity is that within 1 year of his job, he's done such a great job. They've given him multiple raises, and he is earning more after his or within his first year of his job than he would have made 12 years later down the road on his pay scale as a teacher. Okay. It's not the case with all teachers, right? Like your first year out of the classroom, but there are a lot of opportunities. Ethan did a lot of work in prepping for that job, and I'm really, really proud of him. Now, maybe you're thinking like, okay, that's them. That's not me. Like, I'm not there. I'm not at a different company. I don't feel like I relate with this. I'm in a classroom, right? I'm up at my whiteboard and making lesson plans every day. Like, that's okay. Let's look at where that goes, right? What you do in the classroom is so relatable with what happens in work. Maybe you love working with ed tech, right? Who out there is going to be a better ed tech trainer than a teacher? You know the ed tech products you use better than a lot of the employees at the ed tech companies. And I say that from experience because that's some of the work that I've done. Okay. You're great at collaborating with coworkers. You have great communication skills, organizational skills. All of these things are so needed. Okay. Maybe you're great at creating learning materials. So much more. Planning learning, planning instruction. All of these are needed tools. Maybe you really enjoy training others or teaching, right? So maybe you're somewhat interested in becoming a corporate trainer or an ed tech trainer or some kind of role where you're teaching just in a different setting. If these are if these are transition tracks or lanes or areas of interest for you, but you're not sure, okay, I definitely want to do that one or I definitely want to do this one. I'm here to help you identify what you want to do and to help you prep and be able to land those jobs. So, what if you no more had the question of, what else could I do? This is a mantra for my life. I asked myself this not just when I was back in the classroom and trying to figure out what to do next, but I ask myself this question semi frequently when I'm reflecting on life and how to go about things. I want you to ask yourself this question as well. When I look back on now, what do I want to be able to say about it then? Okay. In 20 years from now, when you look back on when you were feeling ready for something different with work, what do you want to be able to say? You know, in 10 years, in 5 years, in 1 year, in 1 year from now, where do you want to be? Do you want to be in a classroom? Do you want to be doing what you're currently doing, whatever that is? I I want to be able to say at that time when I was feeling what I was feeling, thinking what I was thinking, doing what I was doing, I used the best resources that were available to me. I reached out and utilized the best people that I could utilize that were available to me to make the best decisions and direct my path in my life in the best way with their help. Okay. So, what do you want to be able to say? So, with that in mind, one of the best resources that is out there for you if you're trying to figure out what to do next for work is this online course. So, I would love to help you take the next steps that you have and get to where you want to be next. Go ahead and on the portal, you can simply click on the sign up button and jump into the course and access all of the resources. I'm so excited to help you. If you have any questions, totally feel free to reach out. I'm here for you and I'm cheering you on all the way with the amazing things you're doing.